Today I am going to make a video that was, I would say, highly requested, and that is to share with you some really great films that I've seen recently. And I think in winter it's especially nice to watch movies. It's really cozy. Yesterday I noticed it was snowing for the first time, but not enough to wake up to everything covered in snow. But in these cold days, especially when we're still quarantined, I think it's especially good to watch really great films. And because it's so hard to find really great films, I decided to help you not to waste your time and to watch really good films and share with you some really great films that I've seen recently. So here I have a book. It's a notebook, a copybook, and it has this beautiful pictures. And on the inside, I have decided to write down all the great movies that I see. Because sometimes I watch great films and then I forget their names, and so I decided to write down everything. And I even am thinking about starting a new video series dedicated to my favorite actors and actresses and their films. Okay, so let's begin. A film that I watched recently and I loved so much that right after we watched it again. Like, it was so good that right after it ended, we watched it again. It's a French comedy movie called A Good Doctor. Actually, in French, it sounds like Docteur. It's amazing. Let me see what I have written down about it. Alright, so I shall start with the first film that I want to recommend to all of you to watch. It's a 2019 French comedy based on true events called A Good Doctor. A Good Doctor. In French it sounds Docteur. I don't remember when was the last time that I laughed so much and so loudly. I was laughing every other minute, I think, watching this film, and I truly can't remember when was the last time that I laughed so hard watching a comedy. Because usually I'm one of those, viewers that doesn't like anything. It's like, even watching a comedy, when other people are laughing, I'm like, yeah, I will smile, maybe. To make me laugh, you have to be really good at humor. And this film was so good that right after it ended, I don't know if I already said this, we watched it again. And we were still laughing. It's crazy. It's so good. The acting, the directing, the script, of course, the jokes and the whole situation, the fact that it's actually based on true events is making this even more hilarious. Alright, so I will tell you what this film is about. Christmas Eve night, Paris. Dr. Serge, his last name is absolutely unpronounceable. So Dr. Serge is the only doctor on call in Paris from his hospital, and all his colleagues are celebrating Christmas with their families, but he's a lonely middle-aged man. I think he's 60 something, and yes, he's the only doctor on call. But something unexpected happens. He gets a nerve pinched in his back. And not to lose his job, he asks the food delivery man to basically act as a doctor, replace him, and go see his patients while he will be directing him through the phone, through the headphones from his car. It's a crazy situation. Of course, this delivery man at first doesn't want to do this, and he's like, I don't know nothing about medicine. He only had some courses of emergency help to people, and yeah, it's really funny if you watch. If you're French, oh my god, you're really lucky. If you're Russian or speak Russian, really lucky, because I watched it dubbed in Russian, and Russians usually do perfect job at dubbing films. Sometimes they do it better than the original movie, believe it or not. And in English, I don't know if it's dubbed in English, but for sure it will have, I think, English subtitles, because it's one of those few French films that I also saw the poster in English. So I think one of the reasons why Americans don't like maybe dubbing films, or don't do that in English, first, it takes, of course, a lot of time and effort, but also because they make a lot of movies. So this is additional competition, and the French are so good at this comedy, so perfect, so funny. Just 100% recommend you watch A Good Doctor, or in French it's called Docteur. I gave it 10 out of 10 on my IMDb because I loved everything about this film, and I was waiting till the movie ends and I see the real people behind this film, like how did they get caught, but they didn't show it, and I'm thinking, oh my god, they did not get caught. This is a true story, and they did not get caught. And that's why, because they didn't get caught, that's why they didn't want to reveal their names. And there is even a saying, like a little note, I don't remember at the beginning or the end of the film, where the team of the movie is saying that we have respect to all the doctors, and this is just an extraordinary story that basically happened to one doctor, but it's not like all the doctors do this, This man did it. He sent delivery men to serve his patients while he was, while he was instructing him on the phone, and even the most simple situations turn out to be really hilarious, and there are even not so simple situations. I highly, highly recommend you watch the film Docteur, or A Good Doctor. The next film that I want to recommend you and talk about is the Italian comedy drama Perfectl Strangers. Perfectl Strangers. Have you seen this? This movie became so successful when it came out in 2016 that it triggered many countries, and I can't even now count by this time how many, to make their own versions of this film, okay? Including Armenia. So I don't know any other movie that's had this many remakes, at least in recent years, as Perfectl Strangers did. And even if you Google it, you will not find all the remakes. There are so many. Okay, so Perfectl Strangers tells the story of this 7 friends who just gather together just like any other day, any other weekend, and decide to dine together. However, this time, they just decide to play a dangerous game. And the game is to put their cell phones on the table and make all their calls and messages private, like text messages, public, not private, but public, and basically to show that they have nothing to hide from each other. Needless to say that this game turns into a disaster, a big fat disaster, and really funny too. Now I have to say that this movie is not just funny, and this is probably why it made so many countries want to have their own remakes of this, because it's not just a comedy, it's a comedy drama. It is funny, but it also shows deeper layers of human beings and what your friend that you've known for such a long time and you think you know them well has to hide, or your family member, because these friends, most of them are married, some of them were with children, and yet there are things they don't know about each other. I have to say that I've watched two versions of this film. First, I watched the Armenian movie, the version, the remake of Perfectl Strangers, and then I watched a few days ago the Italian version. And even though the Armenian version is a remake and it's largely pretty much the same, the ending is different. And I highly recommend you, if you have seen Perfectl Strangers, the Italian version, I will leave in the description box on YouTube the link to the Armenian version, because it's free, available to watch on YouTube. It's so cold here, like I have this thing to keep me warm. I hope it's not making any noises. Okay, so where was I? Yes, I will leave the link to the Armenian version, please, and I will leave the timestamp from where you should watch it to see the difference, because the very ending is completely different. And I don't know which version I like more. Firstly, I recommend you to watch the Italian version, because it's the original, it's the classic, and I think it's the better overall. I think the original in most cases is always better than the remake, but in most cases, not all cases. My favorite Indian film, Hum Bari Mang, is definitely better than the original. But this film, I don't know the ending. So in the Italian version, the ending is very realistic. It's very realistic, it's cruel, it's kind of violent, and it's just, but that's life. In the Armenian version, you sort of get more hope at the very end, with one of the characters, not all of them, of course. I understand, I like the Italian version more because it's more realistic, and a woman who is cheating on her husband with his best friend, not just any man, will not change, will not feel remorseful, will not feel all of a sudden dignity inside of her. So in that sense, the Italian version is stronger. In the Armenian version, since I watched it first, I loved the ending so much. In the Armenian version, she decides that she will change. And when I watched it, I loved the ending. But then I watched the Italian. I saw it after the Armenian. And I realized that this ending is stronger. It's sad, but it's stronger. Also, I think the Italian actors were, overall, not all of them, but for instance, the woman, cheating on her husband. She was a better actress, but the Armenian actress playing the wife of the surgeon is more like dramatic. She's a famous TV host, and sometimes she also acts. I think she's much better TV host than an actress, but as an actress she still has a strong presence. Like, she's more dramatic, like her appearance and everything is more dramatic, and I felt she looked more like a wife of a surgeon than in the Italian version, because in the Italian version she didn't look rich at all to me. Like, she looked not rich, she didn't even look groomed, and the wives of surgeons usually look groomed. Anyways, watch it for yourself and let me know. If you have seen this film, what do you think of it? If you haven't, please watch it and let me know in the comments. I will be waiting. What did you think of it? And which ending did you prefer, the Italian or the Armenian? Okay? The next film is very different to the two previous ones. It's the 2019 American horror crime thriller called I See You. So the story evolves in a small American town, just like one of those towns where the houses look like the other one and all the people live peacefully and without much care, and that kind of life is almost boring. But then strange events start unfolding, start happening in the life of a detective and his family as he is investigating a disappearance of a boy. This film is a very unusual film, and I also recommend you watch it. It starts out as this, almost typical, mystical, eerie, horror. And when I was watching this film, I remember during the first half of it, I was like, I've seen this before. And then, all of a sudden, it takes a twist and another twist and another twist. And the reality is unfolding. And as it's unfolding, all of these mystical events are explained, and it turns out that the reality is more spine-chilling, because the reality is really scary. And like during the first half of the movie, I was kind of bored. I was like walking around the apartment, watching it, walking around the apartment, playing with my dog, eating something, and then I was like, what? And I sat down, and like that, and I watched the whole movie already sitting down. So I started with really happy, a good doctor, French comedy, then moved into Perfectl Strangers, comedy but already darker, comedy drama, and of course we end with I See You, which is definitely filmed as a noir movie. It's a noir film, it's a dark movie, and I think you will recommend me two good films to watch, and maybe next time we will discuss here one of those movies that you recommended to me. I would especially be interested in films that have been made in recent years, like newer movies, as it's harder to find really good but fresh films. There are other films that I've also seen recently that I would like to tell you about, but our time is running out, and I'll tell you about them really great films in my next video. And meanwhile, you watch these and let's discuss these in the comment section below. So, much love to you. Kisses. And we'll see what movies we will watch next.